Friday at Wimbledon delivered a little bit of everything. A 39-year-old edged one step closer to a record that has stood for over a decade. A former world number one crashed out in a genuine shock. And on the women's side, the draw served up a blockbuster nobody wanted to see this early. Here's everything that went down on day 4 and the round of 16 clashes it set up. We start with Novak Djokovic, still rewriting the record books at 39. On centre court, the Serbian came through a real test against France's Arthur Rinderknech. He took the first 2 sets, dropped the third, then closed it out in a 4th set tiebreak, 7-5, 6-4, 1-6, 7-6. With that win, he reached a number that matters, 105 match wins at Wimbledon. That ties Roger Federer for the most men's singles match wins in the history of the All England club. To put it in perspective, across both the men's and women's game, only Martina Navratilova, with 120, has won more matches here. Djokovic is now level with his greatest rival, at the very place that rivalry was forged. The age makes it more striking still. At 39, Djokovic is only the 4th man in the Open era to reach the Wimbledon round of 16 after turning 39, joining Federer, Pancho Gonzalez, and Ken Rosewall. And he's in ominous form. A round earlier, he took apart Stefanos Tsitsipas in straight sets, the kind of display that had people wondering who, on grass, can actually live with him right now. Djokovic kept it light afterward, joking that for win number 106, they should just call Federer out of retirement and settle it between the two of them. And he sealed this one in style, a backhand winner on match point, before tumbling to the turf as the crowd roared. He faces Russian qualifier Roman Safiullin next, with a quarter-final place and the chance to stand alone, second only to Navratilova, on the line. Win that, and he'd sit just one behind Federer on a list he once looked unlikely to ever top. At 39, in what many assumed would be the twilight, he's instead threatening to end the fortnight as the most successful man ever to play on these lawns. Now to the story that lit up the women's draw. World number 1 Aryna Sabalenka booked her place in the round of 16 with a solid 6-4, 6-4 win over Jelena Ostapenko, extending a remarkable run of reaching the quarterfinals or better at 14 straight Grand Slams. But it's who she'll meet next that has everyone talking. Because Naomi Osaka is waiting. The 4-time major champion dismantled Doria Kasatkina 6-1, 6-3 to reach the Wimbledon round of 16 for the very first time in her career. A notable gap for a player of her pedigree, on a surface that had never quite clicked for her before. She was ruthless, winning more than 80% of the points behind her first serve. So the draw has handed us a genuine heavyweight collision far earlier than anyone would script it. The top-ranked player in the world against a 4-time slam champion rediscovering her best tennis. And there's an intriguing subplot. For all her dominance, Sabalenka has never actually reached a Wimbledon final. Grass has long been the one surface where her game, built on raw power, has been hardest to control. Osaka's is cut from similar cloth, a huge serve, flat, heavy ground strokes, first strike tennis. 2 of the biggest hitters in the sport, going toe-to-toe in the last 16. Whoever survives it will fancy their chances of going deep, which is exactly why it feels almost unfair that it's happening this early. The man everyone's chasing, meanwhile, just kept cruising. Defending champion Jannik Sinner brushed aside American Jenson Brooksby in straight sets, 6-4, 6-3, 6-4, to reach the 4th round without fuss. There's a smart bit of planning behind it, too. Sinner skipped the grasscourt warm-up events entirely to rest after a surprise early exit at the French Open. And since a 5-set scare in his opener here, he hasn't dropped a set. On the women's side, Coco Gauff had to work far harder. The American needed 3 sets to get past compatriot Claire Liu, 6-3, 6-7, 6-2, reaching the round of 16 at Wimbledon for a 4th time. Still chasing a first quarterfinal here, she'll face Belinda Bencic next. Not everyone made it through. In one of the biggest shocks of the week, 8-seed Daniil Medvedev, a former world number 1 and a Grand Slam champion, was knocked out in straight sets by Germany's Jan-Lennard Struff, a player ranked outside the world's top 70. 3 tie-break tight sets, 7-6, 7-6, 7-5, told the story of a match where Medvedev was never quite able to find the decisive break. And on grass, where a hot server can flip a match in a heartbeat, no seed is ever truly safe. The men's draw reshapes around the survivors. 3rd seed Felix Auger-Aliassime cruised through, joining Sinner and Djokovic in the last 16. And the tournament is already missing some huge names, with 2-time defending champion Carlos Alcaraz out injured and Britain's Jack Draper withdrawn. The door is open, and the contenders left know it. So here's how the last 16 is taking shape. On the bottom half, it's locked in. The headline is Sabalenka against Osaka, the tie of the round. Alongside it, 7th seed Coco Gauff meets Swiss 11th seed Belinda Bencic, who's quietly enjoying another strong Wimbledon. In the men's draw, Djokovic faces qualifier Roman Safiullin, the kind of matchup he'll be expected to win, but on grass, against a player with nothing to lose, never a formality. Sinner takes on Japanese qualifier Shintaro Mochizuki, and 3rd seed Auger Aliassime meets the dangerous Alejandro Davidovic Fokina. The top half of the draw is still being written, decided by Saturday's matches. With defending women's champion Iga Swiatek, 2nd seed Alexander Zverev, former champion Elena Rybakina, and American Hope Taylor Fritz all fighting for their places. Once those are done, the full round of 16 picture will be complete. But the shape of the second week is already clear. Sabalenka and Osaka on a collision course, and Sinner as the man to beat. And Djokovic, one win from standing alone, second only to Navratilova, closing in on an 8th Wimbledon crown that would rewrite the record books all over again. The only question left is how the story finishes. We'll be here to break down every twist.